Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Political Job Interview, where I interview candidates running for election. I'm VCalla, the host, and today I take on the role as the boss, giving a job interview to today's candidate, Christine Moulaison. Christine is running for election for Ottawa City Council as a candidate for Ward 4, Kanata North. Thank you, Christine, for your time, and thanks for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me, Vincenzo. I really appreciate it.
It's great to have you on, and without further ado, let's get this job interview started. So as with any good job interview, I'm starting off with the opportunity to learn more about Christine. So the first question is, can you tell me a little bit about yourself and your story?
Sure, absolutely. So I've been born and raised here in Ottawa. I grew up in Orleans, had a wonderful childhood out there, started working out there, moved to Barrhaven after that, and have lived in Canada for the last 14 years, specifically here in Ward 4. And all four of my children have been born and raised in Ward 4.
So the next question now is, why have you decided to run for this position? So why counselor? And yeah, why counselor?
So I did think about running for trustee originally. I do have a lot of involvement with the school board. I've been involved with them for a long time, but I would like to really make change and be a voice on a larger scale. With the school board, it's sort of more a limited group that you can actually speak for and be a voice for. And I'd like to be a voice and speak for more people, make sure that those people are being heard, that ideas are being heard, that the public is being represented by someone who isn't afraid to actually challenge some of the people and ask hard questions when needed and push for their people and their constituents. I think that's really important.
So we're going to take a bit of time now to talk about the job and what Christine brings to it. So the first question is, what experience do you bring to this job?
So I started sort of in, I guess, school council and that sort of building from there when my oldest child started in school. So I've been doing that for a long time now as she's going into grade 8. And then I started working from there and became chair there and started working with another group called OCASC, which is the Ottawa Carleton Assembly of School Councils, which is basically a group where all councils within the OCDSB, the Ottawa Carleton District School Board, all those school councils can actually join. And I became co-chair and have been for 7 years now. From there, I've actually had the opportunity for 8 years, even before that, to sit at the committee of the whole with the OCDSB. So being able to sit in those meetings, sit with the trustees, look at those policies, look at those procedures, look at all those things that are coming through before they're put into place, look at how they're being formed, be able to go back to parents, get information, get feedback, present it to them, and make sure that that feedback's being seen and heard. Seeing those changes happen and actually having real-time impact, which has been great. I've also had the opportunity in that position to deal with the OCDSB budget and look at how that breaks down, which I think will be a huge help going into City Council. Knowing what I'm walking into, knowing what these documents somewhat look like, every group is a little different, but going in and having that head start, I'll be able to jump in and hit the ground running and not feel like I'll be drowning in a whole bunch of new information. And I think that's a really good way to start with somewhat of a background there and already being in a position of being a voice for such, you know, a underrepresented group. I know that sounds sort of funny saying parents are underrepresented, but making sure that having that voice being heard and being able to do that again on a larger scale.
And I wanted to continue on that point now to the next question, which is, what sets you apart from all of the other candidates who are running in this ward?
I think one of the things is having that experience and having that experience through COVID and having that experience even before that, learning how to adapt and having to work within those confines and the different positions beforehand, in person, in Zoom. Being able to make sure that I was flexible through all of that, and not being afraid to speak up when needed, and not being afraid to actually push back is a huge thing. And that's not something that I know everyone is always comfortable doing, especially in that kind of environment. I have no problem doing that, and I would have no problem doing that to represent anyone in the city, not just in my ward, but the city as a whole. On top of which, I think having, being someone who's very open, honest, transparent, is also a really important thing about myself, that I think makes me stand out and above some others.
So part of serving as an elected official is serving the people who choose you, who elect you. So here are a few questions about how Christine wants to serve the people. So the first question is, what is something that the people you would like to serve, the people of your ward, need that you would like to get done if elected?
One of the things that I think needs to be brought back, that I think we've sort of lost a way on in the city, is transparency, feedback, and actual consultation with the public. I'm seeing specific instances within my ward. We're seeing instances when you look at what was happening with Lansdowne, where plans were being put in place. There was no consultation being done, no actual consultation. There were boxes being checked, but no actual consultation, no feedback. We need to have that come back. We need to have that conversation, that loop. We need to hear from the people. What do they like? What do they not? And even if the city does decide to go a different way than what, you know, the public is saying, that's okay. Let's incorporate that feedback and let's loop back and tell them why we didn't necessarily go that way, that we did hear that feedback. Here's what we heard. Here's why we're going this way. Make sure that at least the public knows they are being heard. Validate that, because that's really important. And the people who are electing council and electing everyone in, their voice matters. And that's really important, that they know it's being heard and they're not just being tossed to the side.
Well, that's really important because a lot of people, and it's been sort of a pattern, a lot of people feel as if they don't have a voice anymore. A lot of that is because of COVID. There was a lot of complications going forward in not being able to have sort of the grand consultations in a big conference center in the ward where the mayor, or not even the mayor, but where the councillor and the local MP and MPP and other people there on big projects there to be able to shake your hand and talk to you about it and have a big consultation. That wasn't always possible during the pandemic these past 2 years, and even though they may have transferred over to Zoom, it's not the same. And not being able to, and not seeing those return, or not having those sorts of consultations, really puts a damper on how people feel, how engaged people feel with their community.
It really does. And the other thing too is also, we're seeing now with such things as Zoom that we can actually reach more people. We can have a broader reach, and there's no reason we can't hybrid that. Let's have those consultations in public. Let's bring in that Zoom. Let's merge the two. Let's reach more people. Let's make sure that real voices are being heard. And I think that's a huge thing that we really need to get back to.
And what's important is that they're advertised well and that people know that they're happening, because that is the biggest part with Zoom as well. People may not know what's happening and they miss it. So it's important. It's a whole variety of factors, but we could keep talking about this, but let's just go on to the next question now, which is, what is one accomplishment that you've achieved that demonstrates why you would be a good elected official if the people choose you?
So one of the things that I thought about this one, and that makes me really proud, is I look at all the time that I've spent working for OCASC. And for 7 years, the group has asked me to come back and has said, you have worked so hard, you've been such a great voice, that you've actually stood up there, you've spoken out, you've pushed, we need you, we want you in that position. And that's a huge honor, to be told that you are doing such a great job that we want you back. And for 7 years, I've been asked to go back every time. I've been asked to sit back at the committee of the whole. I've been asked to sit at committee of the whole budget. I've been asked, this year I was lucky enough to be asked to be the representative to go to the parent involvement committee for the OCDSB. And I became their vice chair too. And being asked to be in those positions is a huge accomplishment. And being asked to do it over and over, year after year, with such faith in my ability, to me, is a huge accomplishment.
So thank you, Christine, so much for joining me today. It was great having you, and I'm sure the viewers have enjoyed hearing what you have to offer to them. Election day is October 24th, 2022. And if you liked hearing what Christine had to say and live in Ward 4, Kanata North, you have the opportunity to vote for her on Election Day. Check with your local election officials for more details. To stay updated, make sure to follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at VC Productions 25. Check out my website, vincenzocalla.com, and make sure to like, subscribe, and choose to get notifications here on YouTube. The Political Job Interview is a VCalla production, so until the next video, I'm Vincenzo Calla, signing out.